Greetings. Intending that you're finding yourself within gracious energies right here, right now. Today is August the 28th, 2021, and I'm going to be talking about Mercury's transit for the next couple of months through the sign of Libra. And so Mercury, well, it's all about a bridge. It's about a connection. And the original bridge is actually right here. The third house is our immediate environment. So the bridge of our nose, which joins the two receptacles that we have, our eyes. And the eyes, our view on life, is really what Libra is about. It's considerable to a depth of our perception. Libra is the time of the day where the sun sets. And so how we feel, how we perceive, it really sets the scene. And with Mercury going through the gracious sign of Libra, what we're looking to perceive is a quantifiable, valuable perspective on ourselves and a reflection on others that is equal to that. And so what we're looking for is a connection of a bridge of our perceptions where we get the opportunity to intermingle and gain more quality through our connections with one another, which is just another vantage point of ourselves, really. And so it's a very social endeavor. Mercury is actually going retrograde in each of the 3 air signs this year. It's already retrogressed in Aquarius. It's already gone retrograde in Gemini, its home sign, the last retrograde for Mercury. And now it shall be going retrograde in Libra, back from about 25 degrees to 10 degrees. And in this broadcast, we're going to go through each of the transits, well, each of the aspects through this Mercury transit, as well as looking at how this endeavor unfolds. And it's a bit like we kind of can go into a situation foolhardy and kind of have blind spots. We do. This is the whole benefit of our experience here, lived in the 3D, that we get to air out all of our dirty laundry. We get to air out all of our unforeseen parts of ourselves, our least recognized facets of our being. And it's actually through our intermingling, our connections with one another, that we really gain the opportunity to see ourselves, to seize ourselves with a greater amount of love, and each other also. And so this is a very beneficial experience for us personally, on a personal scale. On a worldwide scale, obviously there's so many different shifts of perspective going on. There's so many different interminglings and situations that are unfolding, and we're gaining greater truth, or at least more variety of what we can perceive. And through this retrograde experience, we're going to have firstly Mercury going forward, making aspects to the Saturn, the Jupiter, and the Pluto, which are all retrograde. However, while Mercury's going retrograde itself, each of those planets are going to move direct. And so it is actually that something that could have been maybe a little bit of a flat or not so intended upon outcome for our experience personally, maybe on our personal lives, they can alter. We make alterations. We make the due alterations. The benefit is that we've got time. Saturn grants us the time for us to really change how we believe about ourselves and each other, and how we can actually activate ourselves, actualize ourselves, and empower ourselves through this transit. It's very beneficial, so it is. It's very intellectual. It's about our intellectualization of all of our experiences. Pluto also will have the same direct motion. And so what we're having is a massive transformations of our own support systems, our structures, and how we congregate and self-organize within our own communities. Oh, it's a very powerful endeavor for us all. And so thank you for your presence. I'm going to be going through each of the things on the screen. And then after that, we're going to go and pull tarot cards for each of the 12 signs of the Zodiac. So thank you for your presence. You are appreciated. The moon is currently in Taurus. We're having a look, and Mercury is in the last couple of degrees of Virgo. So we're going to have this shift from Earth to air. And also, we've got so many other planets changing signs as well, with Venus and Mars upcoming for a shift in the upcoming couple of weeks. So we'll work through all of this. Thank you for your presence, Rosie Jane and Hanuda. Elle and Luca, you're each appreciated in the live chat. I'm grateful for your reception. Thank you for receiving yourselves throughout these moments. If you're watching this in a recording, you are equally appreciated. If you would like a personal consultation with me, as per usual, you know you can get hold of us via the links in the description box below. I'm here to serve you. Just reach out, and what we will do is, after you've made your payment and chosen your option to either have like 90 minutes or an hour or whatever option we should choose, then we're able to arrange a mutually beneficial time for us to connect. All of the aspects in your chart will be spoken about, each and every single planet in all of the houses. We're going to actually go through some of your life experiences and see how they were for you. Some of the more challenging ones maybe we can look at with revised eyes, healing eyes, and see more sympathetic qualities for ourselves, gift ourselves more love than we were able, more than we had the capacity to do at that time when we were actually at that age, living through that experience that we had, as well as look at some of our greatest triumphs, some of our greatest successes. And after we've done that, we've got to know each other, we can also look at the transits coming up for the next year or two, giving you the empowerment to make the most of all the energies that are available to you in application to your natal chart. The whole conversation is recorded, so you don't have to take any notes distracting you. You can actually just absorb yourself within the experience and then watch it back later, which is actually giving you much beneficial value for your own learning experience, your own bond and relationship with astrology, and most importantly, yourself. So yeah, I'm available for you. All the information is in the description box below. I'm excited to connect with you. Right, here we go. Let's get this up on the screen. Oh, evolved part empaths is something very smart. Yes, well, this retrograde does happen actually in September into October, but we're going to look at that. But the retrograde is happening in Libra. And so for the catchment of the title of the video, Mercury retrograde in Libra. It's not retrograde upon the ingress. Oh, no. It's only retrograde once it makes it to 25 degrees, and it comes all the way back to 10 degrees. And then it moves forward through the shadow phase, which it won't escape from. November 2nd. Goodness gracious gosh, we don't miss a beat here. So let's get it up on the screen and have a gander, shall we? California, California, you're awesome. I'm just a reflection of your own awesomeness. And this is what we learn about with regards to our perception. This is a very intellectual kind of opportunity with regards to Mercury retrograde in the air sign of Libra. So here we go. Let's pull it up on the screen for us. Here we go. I actually have a consultation in about an hour and 15 minutes. So we're going to see about this. Like, there's quite a lot of aspects to run through with regards to these couple of months, because it's a long old experience. Mercury doesn't leave Libra until the 5th. Remember, the 5th of November. And so here we are. This is the current sky for us. We've got a waning moon, a very earthy waning moon, exalted, so it is. We have an exalted moon in Taurus at these moments now. So just for your own curiosity, indulge yourself this weekend. Set yourself up with all of the things that you need. I've got a water flask here. I'm just going to take a sip. You might say, Philip, water's not that lavish, my darling. But sometimes we do what we need, right? I did have a nice breakfast. You know, I had a nice bowl with some fruit and some yogurt and some granola, and I'll be having some tacos later. And now I just take a nice swig to ensure that I've got a nice moist palate for talking about all of these transits. I'm talking from Mexico. It even says Mexico on my flask. So thank you for your presence. You are so dearly appreciated. If we think about Mercury a little bit more for a moment, and we consider that it is about commerce. Commerce, what's commerce? It's buying and selling. It's from you to me. It's about how actually we got an exchange rate. But as I originally said, I started going on about it, didn't I? The original bridge is actually our temple. It is actually between our two eyes. It's the bridge above our nose. Why do they call that a bridge? Well, it's just like how when you have a guitar or any kind of string instrument, even the piano, you string the different chords, they make different harmonics, just like the aspects in the chart. You string them over a bridge. And so we find actually our chakras are all strung in this level of perception. And it is our third eye, our first eye, that actually perceives the alignment, the resonance of all of our different chakras. So Mercury, our level of perception, is key. And it is actually that Mercury is often the front runner, but Venus at this time is the front runner at 14 degrees of its home sign of Libra. But we're going to see Mercury drop behind Mars and the Sun. and it's going to fall behind. But that's what Mercury always does. It will go ahead and catch up, of course. It's going to go right ahead through the end of autumn into winter, and it will be a front runner once again. And so what does a real leader in life do? You never leave someone behind. And so I can be as advanced and talk about all the hoity-toity astrology as you like, but it's very important that you always come back to the basics, because the basics are the template that tell us everything about our experience. So thank you for being basic, because basically you are the love which you seek. Thank you for choosing you. You are appreciated. Enjoy this broadcast. We have this moon still in a conjunction with Uranus. It's making a trine, coming off of a trine to Mars, but it's applying to a trine to the retrograde Pluto, if you will. And so we've got this earthy grand trine. It's practical. It wants details. We've got lots of details for us to run through here. And so let's move this clock, this sky clock forward, shall we? We'll see that the moon makes ingress into Gemini in about 24 hours, but Mercury will still be in home sign, domicile sign of Virgo. But it will be making ingress into Virgo. What day is it? It's Tuesday, isn't it? Or the 30th. So it's a little bit, well, yeah, there we go, on the moon's day. And so it's Sunday tomorrow, isn't it? So we'll have it on Monday that the Mercury makes ingress into Libra, joining Venus. And yet at that time, very interestingly, back in Virgo, we do, which actually, obviously, Mercury rules. Mercury has the sun in its sign and the moon in Gemini, its other sign. And so we have the moon with the north node, its own north node, in its third quarter square to the sun, the waning half of the lunar cycle. And the sun, well, it's squaring the nodes. So it's a very important day, this Monday, the ingress of Mercury into Libra, because it's not only is it the third quarter moon, but it's actually in a T-square of the nodes. So the sun is squaring the nodes. It means that on this day, even tomorrow, mañana, on the sun's day, which in Mexico, what do they call it? Domingo. This has been, it's because the sun is domicile and it's a Leo lunar cycle. So it's a very special day of creating. Our creations can really be influential for us over the next couple of days, from today all the way through to Monday. So keep that in mind consciously as we work through this endeavor. And so here we go. We will have Mercury ingress into Libra, but it's not until the 3rd of September when it has its first aspect, although it's instantaneously within a grand air trine with Saturn retrograde and Rahu. It doesn't make its exact aspect until the 3rd of September. And it will be then that it makes the trine to Rahu and a sextile to Ketu, the south node. Rahu in Gemini, Mercury's sign, Ketu, 5 degrees of Sagittarius. And so the mutability, if Mercury is mutable sign, it's all about the mutable signs, and it's going into cardinal air, this is making a change for our traditions. We're altering our perception. Oh, yes, we are. We're altering how we congregate, how we connect, how we presume and assume. And we make an ass of ourselves due to our unforeseen sore spots. You know, those parts of ourselves we can't quite see clearly. There's blemishes on our projections. We kind of, you know, if you've got a projection, this is important, you guys. If you've got a projection, what you're kind of doing is just, if there's a spirit, if you're interacting with a lover, your children, another person in the street, maybe you're going for a job interview and you're like, they're familiar. They're this kind of that thing, they're that kind of other thing. They're familiar to another experience. Like they're either lovely and adorable, we might presume them to be, or they could be a little bit like more daunting or whatever have you. That vibe which we get, obviously it's due to the resonance in our synastry, in our astrology charts, and our prerequisite experiences. However, we kind of cast, like, you know, everybody in our experiences are supporting cast because you're the leading role, you're the star of your show. So what we are is finding that we are the cast of other people's experiences and everybody else is the cast of our own. And so just like a spell is cast, what we're doing is we're throwing a sheet, a canvas over them. And that canvas is our belief systems. It's our prior experiences. And so really what we're looking at, even the word really, is the reel of our movie. What we're looking at is that we're putting on our ideal situation onto something, onto some scenario because of our prior experiences. So this includes our doubts and our expectations. And what we're able to do through this retrograde is to see how we can come into a greater sense of self-support and security for ourselves due to the untangling of certain old stories and the opportunity to empower ourselves and our connection to other people. So this is quite an awesome transit. And so firstly, with this aspect, you're going to see that you're able to let go of some old beliefs due to situations which are going on in the world. The moon is coming into its dark lunar phase at this point, especially by the time we get to the 4th, which is the day that we have Mercury make its trine to Saturn retrograde. Well, Saturn retrograde is the only one of these kind of retrogrades that we've got going on that doesn't get a second aspect to it, because Mercury, it stations at 10 degrees, so it doesn't come back to exactly aspect this Saturn retrograde. However, it does have a relationship with it when it does. And so we keep on moving. And it shall be that on the 8th of September, which is after our new moon happens at 14 degrees of Mercury's sign in the 12th house of Libra. Interesting, so it shall be. Very exciting. We'll talk about that next week. It is a new moon at 14 degrees of Virgo in a harmonic trine to the Uranus retrograde. Mars at this time making a trine to Pluto retrograde in earthy signs, as well as Venus making a trine to Jupiter retrograde in the air signs. There's so much going on for that new moon. It's very nice and exciting. However, we shall also have on the 8th, as I say, Mercury making it 11 degrees, and the moon joins it within the waxing. So it would be a crescent moon with Mercury opposing Chiron in Aries. And so this is really showing the stunting in our perspective. Sometimes it can be healing. Stunting can be also like, oh, I'm stammering. You know, I've got Chiron natally in Gemini. Somebody said to me the other day, you cope very well with it. I was like, well, thank you very much. But, you know, sometimes you stammer. Sometimes you say things you don't mean. Sometimes you put your foot in your mouth, but sometimes it's like a labor of love. It's a gift and a chore that you get with Chiron. So it's sometimes you be a bit of a maverick. I'm great at speaking. Sometimes I make a buffoon of myself with my mouth. And so it goes both ways. And so we can see that this is about a level of perception. It's about a level of communication. It's about a level of coming and going, trading, exchanging and receiving. Like giving away. Are we giving it away too much? Are we putting too many eggs in other people's baskets? Are we putting ourselves low on our perception? Or are we placing ourselves above of people because we're looking for equal quality connections? Equality is the key. And that's what Libra is all about, right? It's the panning of the land. And so here we go. We're going to this this mercurial lunar cycle, which is very interesting. We'll have a Mercury retrograde within it. It is a Virgo lunar cycle, and we'll have this opposition from Mercury to Chiron. A couple of days later, on the 10th of September, we shall have Mercury at 14 degrees of Libra, which is where Venus is today. So you can even perceive that actually on the 10th of September, there's a kind of similar interaction to what was going on today. Maybe you had breakfast with the same person that phoned you up as you did today. Or maybe you apply for a job today and then you hear back from it today because Mercury's kind of touching that same degree that Venus is in. Interesting, so it could be. Or maybe you bought a product, you might have bought a new outfit, and you didn't wear it until the 10th of September. I'm not going to give any more options because we could talk about it forever. But here we go. We'll keep moving and we'll see that it's a whole week until we have our next major aspect. You see Venus makes ingress into Scorpio with the moon also in Scorpio there. And Mars is preparing to leave Virgo. And so we fade out of a kind of mercurial energy. We're fading out of Earth energy, even though the moon will be in the Earth at that time. We're going to see that this shift regards to what's going on. Mars makes ingress into Libra, much more air energy as the moon goes through Aquarius, where we had our past 2 full lunations. And then we move towards what will be, actually on the 18th, I was getting excited there. On the 18th, Mercury at 21 degrees of Libra makes a quincunx. A quincunx is something which is beyond the physical realm. It's something which is only fathomable due to perception. And Neptune, well, that's purely the consciousness that can be a certain inkling, a certain je ne sais quoi. What is that? Is it perception or is it complete delusion? And so we're really looking at, again, these kind of blind spots of integration at this point. It could be a special gift that we've got. Maybe it is actually a calling that we're feeling into. And so that's interesting. And at the same time, we've got that Sun making the last of the trines to Pluto. If you consider that this has been a bit of a saga, Venus did it. Then we have Mercury do it. And then we have Mars do it at the time of the new moon, and then the Sun does it last, just before we get to what will be the full moon in Pisces. But that doesn't take place until a little while off, on the, what's it, the 20th here? It's right at the last degrees of the Zodiac. But on the 20th, we do have Mercury at 23 degrees of Libra, making its perfect trine to Jupiter retrograde in Aquarius. And this is fun, because the next time that Mercury comes back across this for the second pass, it's still going to be that Jupiter is retrograde. And on the third time, it will be Jupiter will be direct, and the same with Pluto. So this is a really nice adaptation that we get the opportunity to do. Maybe you set out to do something and just doesn't turn out right. Maybe it's just that you're learning an instrument and you're diabolical at it at this stage. But it takes time. It takes consistency. It takes persistence. And yet the courage to keep going on, the guts that keeps to go on, the releasing of doubts that we fathom, and having the faith in us continuing is actually all part of the journey. Sometimes it isn't about the I've achieved it, yeah. Can you feel it? Yeah, you will feel it, but you've got to feel the frustration. You've got to feel all of these things that allow us to keep going on, because it's all about the substantial experience at the end of the day when you finally achieve it. So this is what the benefits of this Mercury retrograde can bring. And so here we go. That is a full moon day, as I say, and we got that lovely quincunx to Neptune. Oh no, it's the trine to Jupiter. A couple of days later, after the full moon, the moon goes through Aries, and we have Mercury slowing down. So these aspects are much more slow. This end of the sign, it is actually making the square to Pluto. And so this is really interesting as well. It's going to make the square pretty much the whole time, because it stations at 25 degrees, but it makes the exact square on the 22nd. And then it is ages until it stations retrograde. It's not until the 27th, so you have to wait for ages for this moon waning. A whole month from now, it's actually stations here on that 26th, 27th at 25 degrees, still in the perfect square to Pluto. Really, it's only an 89-degree square, and it's still making a trine to Jupiter as well. So it's extended. And we also have the Sun ingress into Libra, and we can consider this as part of the story. Well, why has Mercury gone retrograde at this point when it's making a square to Pluto? Why? Well, that's not easy peasy if it's going to be squaring Pluto for 10 days, for 2 weeks, or whatever. Well, the Sun is in Libra, and it's traveling with Mars. It's going to travel with Mars for a while. And so this is the kind of martial shit. What's going on? You know, it means don't watch TV, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, stars of all ages. Tune out of any hysteria that doesn't serve you. Tune out of conversing with the neighbours if they are absolutely whipped up into a storm and a frenzy about things that bring you into disarray, that bring you out of your heart space. What can you do every single day to wake up and go, hey, I'm here to play. I'm here to build a rapport with myself. I'm here to connect with me. I'm here to really anchor a message of love and vibration of a inner frequency. Core blimey, you're worth of nothing less. And so what we do is we get right into ourselves, because this is an opportunity to plunge into our self-supporting boundaries, to gear up into our own fortune, to really come into the self-love that we are here to choose. You've got to choose it. The TV's not going to jump out at you and say, hey, flick to number 12 now, because there's self-love on 12 for the next hour or 90 minutes if you're fortunate. You can actually turn those things off, even turn the YouTubes off. Even turn off the music that we put on our phones, all of these different distractions, even checking the messages of our loved ones or whatever it is. If we can find that we can dial it in, dial into ourselves, then you've got a direct line to the source, sunshine. Yeah, to your inner sunshine, because you are the star. And if you put yourself in that position, do you know what you're doing? You're leading. You're not being led. You're turning lead into gold. What you're doing is you're being the alchemist, because you're putting yourself into the source. You're putting yourself into the central position to be able to receive love through your perception. And this is the deepest, this is the most magnificent, majestic thing that any of us can possibly do. And this is what this retrograde is all about. So when it stations, and spends this extended period in these aspects to Pluto, aspects to Jupiter, and the Sun also coming into this grand air trine with Mars, with Saturn. Hey, this is intense. But you can make it intensely concentrated and self-love. You don't have to tune into the hysteria which brings us into separation, into disconnection. It can be the greatest connection which we've ever had. Oh, this isn't even Sunday sermon. But yes, you can preach into yourself every single day. You can speak into yourself every single moment. And yeah, there's some days that we don't, isn't there? There's sometimes that we're lower. There's sometimes that we're feeling some of the energies which have to be transmuted only by feeling, only by doing the process which we have to do. And we each have our own way of processing. But when we come in to pick ourselves up and hold ourselves within the love that which we are, and carry on with our own duties, our habits, our skills, our talents, our prosperity, our good fortune, well, that's what we're here to do. Yes, Alison, she says, throw away your television. It's absolutely poison. Do you know that Red Hot Chili Peppers song? Throw away your television. Anyway, I'm going to carry on with this. So here we go. It's the 26th of September, and we have Mercury station on that 27th. It will actually go back until the 19th of October at 10 degrees, and it stations direct on that 19th. And it'll be moving direct through the shadow until the 2nd of November, when it comes back to 25 degrees of Libra. Now let's walk through it, shall we? Okay, and so the next aspect isn't until the 1st of October, when Mercury finally makes it back to the exact square to Pluto retrograde, still at 24 degrees of cardinal Capricorn. How are we reassuring our boundaries? Are they still achy breaky? Maybe it means that you've got to set that website up. Maybe it means you've got to pay your phone bill. Maybe it means you've got to fix that garden fence. I don't know what it is that you've got to do. Maybe it's still throwing away that television. I don't know. But what it is reassuring that we've got some good boundaries for ourselves. Maybe it means just not texting that ex. Maybe it means not worrying about that job. Maybe it means that you've got this. So just take it easy on yourself. We're going to recognize that actually at this time, Venus makes sextiles to Pluto, and Venus is in Pluto's sign. Venus makes a square to Jupiter. So this is an interesting moment. So change in belief systems. We're coming up in challenges, and these challenges give us the opportunity to make the alterations that which we most need. Grand air trine, the sun traveling with Mars, very martial. You know what's going on in the world right now. Make it about you. Mars is about you. It's the hero. So be the hero in your experience. Really go martial on yourself and be like, I've got tunnel vision. I'm learning the guitar. I'm learning the piano. I'm learning astrology. I'm cleaning windows. It doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you're finding the joy within your moments. Okay, and so Mercury will keep moving back, and it will be that actually on the 3rd of October, we have Mercury at 22 degrees of Libra, and it will make a trine to Jupiter retrograde at 22 degrees of Aquarius. Oh, we might have doubts. We might have old beliefs that I can't do this. I'll never be able to get the opportunity to work with those guys. Oh, I could never have a house of my own and not have to pay a mortgage. Who needs that? Really, we can actually alter our belief systems. Like, well, I can have a home of my own and I'm not paying a mortgage, but I wouldn't have fathomed that I could. But I managed to do something within now and the point that Mercury comes back to this position that really altered that perception. You are the altar. And this is a Virgo lunar cycle, which we'll be closing out at this stage. Virgo is the altar. It's the harvest. It's the sacrifice. And so what we do is we cut ourselves away from what we don't need. And the old perceptions will be that. Because you find that you change when you come within you, because the buck stops with ourselves. You're the native. And so you can be the change, the alter native, when you choose to sacrifice what you recognize isn't good for you anymore and give it away, and you become much more empowered. So this is very, very nice for us. That's how you change your belief systems with regards to this Mercury trine and Jupiter retrograde and Pluto making square to Pluto retrograde as well. So there you go. And so we keep moving back. By October the 5th, Mercury will make a quincunx to Neptune retrograde. And this is interesting because actually Neptune retrograde is still going to be retrograde on the 3rd pass. But it's just, again, like, well, we're still not clear. There's just so much in the world. Truth is subjective. There can be actually 2 different histories. You know, there's 2 different histories, isn't there? There's more than 2. Depends who you're listening to. Depends where you grow up. Depends what you choose to be true for you. Okay, you're making your story. Past, future. Really, are you present? Because that's where the gifts are. I mean, we do sometimes get stuck in the past. We do sometimes project into the future. But really, when we get present, we can be within the actual mystique, the glamour. We can be within our own magic. That's what Neptune, what it is at its highest vibration. It's glamour. It's you being able to fathom something and bring it into the experience. But at the same time, it takes imagination. It takes the magic for us to really be able to perceive this. And so we have the new moon actually in Libra, in a conjunction with Mars. This is, and it's opposite Chiron, and Mercury's retrograde, still an aspect to Pluto, which is stationed at this time. We can recognize that the saturation of Mars with regards to this Libra new moon at the day of Pluto, which is the deeper vibrational octave of Mars, station retrograde in Capricorn, still an aspect just about to the retrograde Mercury, which is also trine in Jupiter. This is about a change of perception, just like 2020. Some ideas about some things were changed and they'll never go back. And so we can recognize that this is a situation where we're finding similar scenarios are taking place. But how can you change your perception on yourself on a beneficial level? How can you see that there's a stone which can be overturned and really benefit you personally moving forward in regards to how you perceive yourself in a can-do, how you can empower yourself in a I am, how you can recognize yourself in a I'm receiving because I'm worthy and I recognize everybody else is worthy too. And so this is a beneficial opportunity to really alter with a very, very laser focused vision. It's about cutting Mars away from the old things and supporting ourselves with a new sense of our own identity through the view of our perception that we use to connect with each other. Okay, so we keep moving. On the 9th of October, we have a, what is it? My writing is so scruffy. We've got the inferior conjunction of Mercury and the Sun. Here it is on the 9th of October. And so inferior conjunction is when the Mercury comes into the throne of the Sun, and it's not visible for ages because it's actually beneath the beams for when it's within 10 degrees. That was a while ago. But once it comes into the heart of the Sun at this point, all of the old ideas get burnt away. We can even have clarity for a moment or two on this 9th. And obviously, it's the same day we have Mercury conjunct Mars as well on the 9th. And so it's a very, very kind of, you want to keep cool. Maybe you want to do some extra exercise at these times. The moon in Mars's sign of Scorpio, Venus traveling with the South Node at this time. It's very interesting tension, but it can be laser focused. We can utilize this in a beneficial way. It doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, you know, it can be, oh my gosh, I'm doing great for me. And so even if there is those attention, how are you able to alchemize this? It might be in your day-to-day experiences. It might be feeding through other people. Just because we throw away our television doesn't mean everybody else did. So how can we be the medicine for ourselves around other people, which are, you know, dosed up on delusions or hopium or whatever it might be? Okay, and so the moon going with Venus and the South Node, that's releasing so many belief systems. Venus is like the dispositor for the Sun, Mars, and Mercury because they're in Libra, Venus's sign. And so that's quite interesting. Here we go. So we keep moving, and we'll find actually that the next aspect isn't until the 16th of October. And we've got a little bit of separation between this Mars, Sun, and Mercury. The intensity may be laying off a little bit since Venus goes over the South Node. So it could be that it's actually this intense beginning to that Libra lunar cycle. And yet it does phase off a little bit, thank goodness, we can find, especially after Pluto being the first of the planets to station direct with the moon going over it. It's just about, then Saturn actually stations direct as well when the moon goes over that. And yet it's the 16th that we have our next aspect from Mercury, and it is actually opposing Chiron once more. And this will happen again. It's kind of stations opposite Chiron, so it's extended period of our perception. It's like, do I think this is healthy? What? You're really being transparent and unveiling your unhealthiness by presenting that on the screen. But yeah, we might think, okay, well, I just need to never buy that, never purchase it. And so it's about our perception. and it's about eradicating certain things, detaching from the scenarios that don't serve us, and this is a very powerful opportunity. Mars is the blade, and if the new moon cycle is about a level of perception, then we're able to cut ourselves free from certain things, and it can be very beneficial for our experiences. And so we keep moving, and we're becoming towards, you see that the Sun and the Mars, they've swapped roles now. Mars has fallen behind the Sun, they had their conjunction, the intensity, is kind of going off intense with regards to war. I skirted around it, right? I skirted around it. Let's just be honest. Let's just be transparent. They had all of this martial things going on. This is kind of a spiritual World War III already. It's just that they don't admit it. All of the stuff in the media is a massive, massive delusion. It's like a massive look over here, but don't look what's going on over here situation. So maybe why not look at none of that, as we've already mentioned, and just be your own media. Your own day-to-day situations and experiences are the key frequency for you. They are what states your frequency and what allow you to be the great attractor. You are the great attractor. You are very attractive. So be that source, be saucy, be the creator, put yourself in the central sphere of your own influence. Why have anything else take away from your own radiance? And that will be very beneficial for us to recognize. And so Mercury makes the sextile while it's opposite Chiron to Venus at this point. It makes a lovely sextile, and it's just as it stations. And it's nice because Venus is the ruler, as I say, of Libra. And so it's a great opportunity for us to easily shift our belief systems. Like, goodness gracious, I'm definitely not going back into those scenarios. I'll take my money out of that bank. I'm definitely not going to buy another phone contract. I'm definitely not going to go and marry that person. I'm definitely not going to stay in that situation, whatever it is. And so it can be, when Mercury stations, the most empowering point for us, always. And it's actually at this time that we have the Sun, where Mercury stationed retrograde. And so it's like a special part of the story, as this Mercury is stationing direct. It's like, I've got the answers. I always did. And yet I had to just go beyond the surface level. I really had to plunge deep into self. I really had to recognize the value of who I am and who each other are in these situations. And instead of blaming and shaming and myself or others, no one's the culprit here. We're all innocent. It's about tapping into the innocence. That's our glory. And so the Sun makes the square to Pluto and the trine to Jupiter at this time, as does Mars. Jupiter is also stationed direct at 22 degrees the same day as Venus stationed direct. These are the mutable dispositors of Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces that are both stationing direct in air signs. So a level of perception is certainly shifting on a very grandiose level on the 18th of October. This is actually funny because it's Jupiter that turns direct last. Yes, we still have Chiron, Uranus, and Neptune retrograde, but Pluto and Saturn are the big guns, and they have also just recently, within the week or so, within the 10 days or so, stationed direct. So this is a very powerful about turn and a shift in direction as we move towards what will be the full moon in Aries. So that full moon in Aries takes place on the 20th, and we have our next aspect for Mercury on the 24th. And so here we go, Mercury starting to move direct. It's spent ages opposite Chiron, doesn't actually do into exact opposition. The Sun makes ingress into Scorpio, and Mercury will make a quincunx to Uranus retrograde on the 24th. So this is an integration into our level of genius, into our frequency, all these kinds of weird things. It's unfathomable. We see that Mars more slowly moves through those tense, kind of open aspects to Jupiter and then to Pluto. It's like, okay, well, life goes on. People get used to things, even if they wouldn't choose things. How can we make the most of situations while they're still going on? And so this is interesting, but we will come through this with the South Node going through those last degrees of Sagittarius. It's about changing our perception on the separation in the world and coming into the unity, really, surely. And so we'll keep moving, and it will be on the 30th of October Very powerful dates, obviously, coming into like the Day of the Dead, traditionally in different parts of the world. This is about a massive letting go. If we actually take that quarter as well, from the summer solstice all the way through, that's when we get visited by our ancestors the most. It doesn't get celebrated traditionally, but the blue phase of the moon, the waning half of the solar cycle from Cancer onwards until this point, is when we get visited by our ancestors. And on the Halloween, that's like the West Star. If East Star is in the spring, we have West Star at this time of the year, and it's like the Day of the Dead. It's when we celebrate our ancestors and how actually we're empowered by the visitations of that which we experience. Mars, culminative degree of Libra, makes ingress into its home sign on the 30th, as well as we have Mercury making quincunx to Neptune retrograde at 20 degrees of Pisces. So integrating, fathoming the depths of the kind of things that I was talking about. And there we go. And so we move on, and it will be November the 1st, and we have Mercury making the trine to Jupiter at 22 degrees of Aquarius, which is now direct. Lovely stuff. Very nice indeed. And we keep on moving, and it's the next day that Mercury makes the square to Pluto direct, a transformation. This can be very triumphant for our personal experiences. Maybe you just needed to get something in order. Maybe we needed to get our ducks in a row. Maybe we needed to recognize that we were already good enough, and we always have been. It's just something that was in our way. Maybe it was ourselves, man. Maybe we get out of our own way and recognize that we were always good enough, and we can sympathize, harmonize, and connect and resurrect this sense of self-worth when we're gazing across at one another and internally at ourselves. So this is very, very nice indeed. Mercury will go beyond that, and it shall be on the 5th of November that we have Mercury make ingress into Libra. It is actually come out of shadow, as we say, on the 2nd, which is when we have the just after the square to Pluto. And so, yeah, it's like very beneficial that we got this massive opportunity. As I say, Libra is like our lens of perception. It's like our filter system. It's how we see ourselves. So this is like a cleansing opportunity. If you wear contact lenses, it's like washing them out and saying, hey, I've got the opportunity to love myself a little bit more. They say that rose-tinted glasses, that sounds so lovely, that we want to wear them. But actually, this is about kind of getting rid of kind of the slimy, mucky tinted glasses and gaining clarity, which are more rosy. And so that's very beneficial. If you'd like more rosy tinted eyes on your perception of yourself, maybe you want to come for an astrology consultation of me, well, all the information that you need to get in contact is in the description box below. I will read your chart just like I did with the chart on the screen just there, and we'll go through all of the aspects as well as the current transits in application to your chart. And you can get in contact, as I say, and we'll arrange a mutually beneficial time to connect. Here's some feedback from a past happy client. They said, just to say, thank you, Philip. I've just re-listened to my in-depth chart reading. I am in awe with your expertise. I've made notes on my potentials, transformations, and opportunities to flourish. I've still so much to learn and look forward to releasing old karma and rebirthing myself. I'm so pleased I chose to have a reading with you. You truly work from the heart. Your passion shines through, and would recommend anyone who wants to find out more of their own potential to book a reading with you. Wow. Thank you very much. I'm grateful, Sue. Thank you for your lovely feedback. I appreciate it. It is absolutely a joy, a passion, and a labour of love to be able to connect with you. So we're going to spend the next half an hour or so going through each of the 12 placements of the Zodiac and pulling tarot cards with regards to this transit of Mercury through Libra, intending that you do find yourself within gracious energies. I see you in the live chat. Bella, I'm grateful for you. Ivan, I'm grateful for you too. As well as Elle, Rosie Jane, and AV. I'm excited to connect as well. Thank you. So here we go. First of all, Libra. This is a transit for quite a while, August 30th, all the way through to November the 5th. Who could forget? And it will be Mercury going through your sign. We'll start with Libra and we'll go all the way through back to Virgo. Virgo's last, no offense. It's just the order. And so here we go. We're going to find out that this is a very beneficial opportunity because for Libra, there's so much undoing with regards to the 12th house. But it's a bit of a process. You haven't even had the 12th house new moon yet. And so you can find this is a great time to gain greater clarity. We're all learning to gain greater clarity on our perceptions. And so this is very nice. Mercury is also the ruler of your 9th house and your 12th house. So it's about your beliefs and your endings, your karma, the details of things. And so Libra, this transit of Mercury through your 1st house, all about your strength, the infinite capacity to face the unforeseen, the undesirable, you know, the traumas that we have, the healing journey. It's always that, isn't it? It's always those most unforeseen spots, but really it's worth looking at because it gains us our greatest empowerment, our core strength. Woo! Libra, it's worth it because you are worth it, no less. Double major arcana, the strength card and the Empress. Impress yourself because you're worthy, right? This is the 8 and a 3. So your infinite ability to connect and to receive, to be the magnet, is on working, on labouring away within you. I love it. It's very nice indeed. Okay, Scorpio. This is actually a 12th house transit for ages. It's going to be actually that we have this take us all the way into the Scorpio lunar cycle, this transit. And so very nice indeed. And Mars will also make ingress into your sign. Pluto's going to finish its retrograde. It's quite an unpackaging for Scorpio folks. And Mercury rules your 8th house, woo, suit you, as well as your 11th house. So it's really about your connections and community socially, but it's about your level of perception on yourself due to your interminglings with these others. Woo, yes, indeed. And what we got was the Ace of Cups. It's a new beginning. It's a new beginning. You give to yourself the presence of recognizing that your emotions wash you clear. Water, of course, water, because it's transparent. So when you're transparent with yourself, which you are, you can feel your frequency. And that enables you to empower yourself through your healing journey. Mercury obviously rules Gemini, which is your 8th house. You're the 8th sign, as well as your 11th house. And so this is all about the connectivity, your genius. Your genius is in connection with other people, Scorpio. You're plunging deep within you, and you see yourself through and through all those connections that you share with other people. This is about the chandelier of your own consciousness. You see it from the bird's eye view, but it's got to come from within first. It's very nice. Very nice. You feel that you bounce yourself off the other people like a sonar, like, you know, a bat does a cave. Bat don't see. Bats are blind. Blind are those bats. But what they do is they have one of the finest levels of perception because they bounce frequencies off their environment. And so, Scorpio, you can find that in your local arenas, you're able to gain more perception on you and your worthiness, your level of perception, your value, due to how you feel others. Lovely. Ace of Cups and the Star for the transit of Mercury through your 12th house in Libra, all the way through till November the 5th. Remember. I love it. Delilah, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for your presence. Jules and Jerry Lynn, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for your presence. Samadhi, I'm grateful. And X1, you're all a bunch of brilliant stars, don't you know? Right, Sagittarius. This is interesting. Jupiter, your ruling planet, is going to station the same day as Mercury does. And that's what, the 18th of October? Yeah. And so, very powerful is this transit. But this transit is actually through Mercury in Libra in your 11th house. And so it's about your connection. It's about how you perceive yourself in your spheres of influence, in your networks. Maybe it's online. Maybe it's about your genius. Maybe it's about the consciousness which you fathom from upside down, outside the box. Sagittarius, this is very interesting because actually Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, is your 7th house. And Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, is your 10th house. So it's really about how you market yourself, how you perceive of yourself due to how you bounce your own connection off other people. It's really, very powerful. And so here you go. What we got, well, it's the page. It's the Page of Wands. Page is Mercury. And it's how you are identifying Mercury in a fiery sign. Mercury is writing, inscribing, perceiving of a playful way to recreate oneself. And the guide, well, the guide is you. You are the guide, Sagittarius. How are you able to be the guru to your body? Because, you know, we're here to be like the parent, or what we can sometimes govern as the higher self. The body carries trauma. The body carries all of our shadows. The body is the physical vessel, and bless it. Come on, just put the cards down for a moment. This is for everybody. Goodness gracious. Give yourself a moment. This body has been through the mill. This body, all of those different, just for a start, those cans of Cokes, those moments where we grumble, those stubs of the toe, whatever they are, even just being in a car on the motorway. Goodness gracious, this body. This sympathize and love the body. Because for Sagittarius, you're able to re-identify with yourself as recognizing the body is like the innocent inner child. The inner child that always wants that love from you, the spirit that's incarnated into it. If your spirit is manifested life after life after life, it's only going to have this body one time. And so some people love their car. Wow, this is your incarnation, Sagittarius, to really show that you are a guru, to sympathize with yourself. Because this body has been through it. And there's lots more to go through. So why not chaperone, chauffeur? Why not be the numero uno lover like no other and gift yourself this opportunity? Just like how, you know, like Siri talks to us, like so seductive. Hi, what can I do for you? That wasn't a great Siri impression, but maybe we can speak to our bodies in a way which is kind of lovely for ourselves. I mean, that's not how I speak to myself when I'm speaking to myself, but there might be a nice way that you like, which you can receive your love. Speak to yourself, anchor that. You are the reporter. So tell yourself something new. Give yourself a news headline. You're worthy, Sagittarius. This is the Page of Wands and the Chariot. Chariot is your body. And so, you know, here you go. You can make it through all your connections. You can feel your way through the terrain. You can feel who you're going to be connecting with and who you can just disconnect with love. You got this. Okay, so next we got Capricorn. Oh, yes, Capricorn. This is a transit of Mercury for your 10th house. Teresa, I'm grateful for you. And Alison, you are appreciated. So, and Cat Bill, I'm grateful for you. So yeah, the transit for Capricorn of your 10th house, the tippity tops, the 10th house, it's right what you're all about there, Capricorn, you're the 10th sign. So this transit of Mercury, the ruler of commerce, through the marketplace, you take your sphere, you take your spirit, you take your inspiration to the marketplace, you take it up the hill to the top of your chart, right up there into Libra, don't you, Capricorn? And that is where you take that sphere of influence and you square it. You square your productivity, you square your passions, you square your talents and make it into something fortunate that other people can digest, something that supports you and who you are, something that can even support the world. Capricorn, by gosh, this is a great transit to see that your level of perception is very supportive of yourself in the world, as well as how you're able to share it with others. This is very nice indeed. Mercury, well, it rules your 6th house of hard work, as well as your 9th house of belief systems, of international shenanigans, of teaching, of all kinds of things like that. And so, Capricorn, this is very nice for you. And it's going to make some square aspects, isn't it? Back to Pluto for ages, this transit of Mercury. So it's really changing how you perceive of you. It's very much about how you perceive of your hard work, of your embodiment, of your wisdom, and how you feel recognized. Who? By you, by the frequency which you obtain, which you hold down. 6th house is holding down a frequency. I mean, this means doing things that we enjoy. Why? Because joy is who we are. And if we're going to be able to identify with who we are and other people want to feel the frequency of that happiness, then what you do is you lead by doing things that you love every single day throughout your moments. Capricorn. And so this is why we be our own boss. This is why we're the goats. This is why the greatest of all time will always do things that they love to do. So empower yourself, Capricorn. You're not here to come second. No, as I said earlier, leaders, cardinal. We're all here to lead ourselves. Everybody is here to lead themselves. When you choose yourself, you don't put yourself second. You put yourself in pole position. You put yourself in the center of your experience, because we are the centaurs. We're spirits incarnated into the flesh. And so when you have got this opportunity to empower yourself in your level of perception and to recognize everybody is equal, give them the opportunity to see what you're doing. Give them the key frequencies to the castle so that they can recognize they can do it too. Wow, Capricorn, that's what you're all about, sunshine. Okay, so what we got for you, Capricorn? Wow, you saw me shuffle. We saw me shuffle. We got the Chariot again. We got the Chariot again. We also got the Nine of Swords. So, and we got bottom of the pack. I haven't seen that one. And so basically, Capricorn, this is about you nurturing yourself through doubts. This is about you nurturing yourself through other people's belief systems about you. What if someone doesn't like you? That's okay. You know, actually, if one person doesn't like you, it means that probably 100 more do. But it's about a reflection of these parts of ourselves that maybe we don't like about ourselves. Oh, isn't that the truth? So we have the opportunity to love ourselves more and more, to let go of limiting belief systems. This is our key. You've got all of the keys in your navel. Here, right here on our navel, we've got all of the keys. You keep the keys on your belt buckle, because that is where we have our access to all of the different chakras within our will, within the wheel of our own fortune, within our own Merkaba, within our own chariot. And so when you access all of those keys, which are key frequencies, you can adapt any of those old beliefs. Because you are able, you are the source. You're not externalizing, begging, hoping, pulling. You're empowering, you're coming from within, and there is no other space. There is no other space. So you're empowering yourself. Here is also bottom of the pack, this Knight of Swords. It's a level of perception. There's a lot of air. It's the top of your sky. It's about your perception and your own integrity. Like, I've been doing squats. I haven't done as much of a routine as what I was doing at the beginning of the spring. I was doing squats and press-ups and yoga. And I've done a few yoga classes this week. I missed a few because I turned up late. I still made it, still went. But the one thing I've been consistent with within my own integrity is the squats. And I say to myself, well, at least you've done the squats. But I'll get there back with the press-ups. It's about integrity. It's about holding yourself to a certain standard. And the standards which you set in your level of perception manifest into the scene. You set the scene by living to standards within your own integrity. And that is how you change belief systems. This is how you nurture yourself through the keyhole. You're worthy of no less. You can do it. You've got this. Capricorn, 10th house, transit, Mercury through Libra. Squats. Okay, and so what we got for next is Aquarius. And it's interesting for Aquarius because at first we do have an aspect from Mercury to Saturn, as well as Jupiter, a couple of times, 3 times. And both Saturn and Jupiter will be direct by the time of this Mercury transit having finished in Libra, which is actually your 9th house, Aquarius. Aurora Fire, you are appreciated. And Ruth, I hear you, you're appreciated. So, Aquarius, we already got a card come out for you. And it's about this transit of your 9th house where Mercury shall be. 9th house is about belief systems. We're going to have a grand air trine as well. And so it's really about this matriarchal line, maybe. It's about this identification of our level of perception and how you're able to alter these things. You are the alter. And so it's really about your creativity and how you've got this and that which you're able to create with. And also it's about the details of your different connections with other people, all the different things that you see the micro of, but you might not see the grandiose bigger picture of. But it's your belief about these things which come together, which fathom this level of perception. And so this is appropriate, right? It's about how when we do judge, when we do presume, when we do assume, we're projecting, just like what I said, we're throwing a sheet over something and we're casting ourselves into the doubt. We're not casting others, we cast ourselves into doubt when we project these things onto others. And we do naturally, when the shoe fits, well, we'll wear it because other people will make us. It fits the soul, right? But another one is like, if you pin the tail, you pin that story onto the fitting donkey. You make a donkey or an ass out of yourself, right? And so Aquarius, we learn through these things, and thankfully the back and the forth of Mercury gives us a greater level of our perception, a greatest level of judgment for ourselves. Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. We do this naturally because our consciousness is running through the filter, and the body's the filter. You know, the body is the filter. We hold energy in the body, and if there's like solar flares, like the source, the spirit flowing through us, then it can only run through due to whatever we're already holding down in the body. And so we're looking to clear what's in the body. And it's through our observation of our perceptions and our belief about these different perceptions, which can be shifted and altered through this experience. And we got the Six of Hearts. It's my birth card, this one, Aquarius. Six of Hearts is very powerful, and it's about how you are able to feed love and empathy and compassion into yourself and connection with other people in your day-to-day experiences. It's about you holding down an emotional connection with yourself and others in your day-to-day interactions. It's about you anchoring a compassionate eye for yourself and other people in your connection that you trade and exchange with. So maybe you might find that you're coming up into barriers that restrict you due to you having very powerful connections with all kinds of people, whether they're family or friends or business people, whatever. But yet some people have had this, some people have had that, some people wear silly bandanas with avocados and stars on them, and you're like, I just can't have it. I'm out. But yet you don't want to be out because you love them. You want to be able to connect. You've got this project on the table and you want to finish it. And so what you can do is fathom the love, fathom the emotional protocols to see, oh, well, I can accept that. I can dissolve that. I can work beyond that limiting barrier. This is what this is a key to do. 6 Cups and the Judgment card for the transit of Mercury retrograde, mostly through your 9th house, Aquarius, until November the 5th. Next, we got Pisces. Oh, Pisces, it's interesting for you because Jupiter, which is your ruling planet, will be retrograde until 18th again. And so it's the same day that Mercury stations direct. Okay, and so Pisces, it's very interesting. This is a transit through your 8th house. Mercury will be retrograde through your 8th house. It's not retrograde the whole time, though. Someone was very important to point that out. It's only retrograde. What date is that it turns retrograde? Let's find out again. It is the 27th of September until the 18th of October, going back from 25 degrees to 10th degrees of Libra. But it's happening in your 8th house there, Pisces. So it is. And so it's about you finding out things about yourself that you couldn't see on the surface level. The 8th house is always where we get plunged into situations where we find that there's unforeseen parts of ourselves that get shown, that get revealed through to our interactions, exchanges and connections, conversations, maybe our levels of perceptions and thoughts. Sometimes we're thinking, oh, this person thinks that, they've got to think that about me, but it's actually all just down to our own level of perception, presumption. Actually, if we would like to say, just, hey, come out with it. What do you really think of me? How do you really feel? Then maybe it would be a different situation. Maybe we can just say, hey, I feel a little bit vulnerable about this level of perception. Do you really think that? Do you really feel that? Pisces, you've got that within your wheelhouse. You are sympathetic. Maybe you can give other people the permission slip to find their healing with you. Oh, yes. Nice it is. And so here you go. we'll see what cards we got for you. We can recognize actually that Mercury rules your 4th house of family shenanigans. It might be about siblings, but also Mercury does rule your 7th house as well. So it's about your level of perception. Maybe it's about how you find that you can get out of your own way of certain things. I just laugh sometimes because of the way the cards float in the air. But it's about putting yourself into the central space. Pisces often put themselves second, right? So conscientious. So it's about putting yourself and holding yourself within the nearest and dearest position in the central space of your own heart. Regal, so you shall be. And this means that you can be there for other people. If you are putting yourself second, is that teaching other people to put themselves first? You know, Pisces, that when you put yourself into the space of your own heart, other people think, wow, if Pisces is doing that, maybe I should do it as well. You've got the King of Pentacles and we've got the Queen of Swords. You can be most intellectual, most valuable when you're within the center of your very own being. So you teach people by staying within your heart's joy, within your creation, within your own spectacle, within your own magnanimous central space. This is where you create waves. This is where the frequencies emanate from. You admit the love for yourself? Well, everybody will receive the love all around you when they recognize they can do that too. Pisces, King of Pentacles, Queen of Swords for the transit of Mercury through your 8th house of Libra from August the 30th until November the 5th. Next, we got Aries. Aries, this is the transit through your 7th house. Yes, we got Mercury going through Libra, and it's happening for you in your 7th house. Obviously, Mercury rules your 3rd house and your 6th house. This is all about your bridges of connection and communication. It's about from here to there, but also right here. It's about how you observe yourself, as well as how you feel that you're observing others also. And so, hold yourself in good graces. We're going to have Mars travel with the Sun throughout this transit. And so you can find that there's lots of opportunities to recreate yourself, to be inspired from the heart due to that which you're observing in the world. Sometimes some of the biggest travesties in the world can give us the greatest inspirations to create music, to create joy. That's who you are. So when you see something, you're like, well, I've got to make some kind of alternative because you are the alter, you are the native, and the world is asking for us to choose ourselves. And there's no greater advocate for self-choice than you, Aries. So we will be looking at the Aries around us and we'll be finding that we can learn by having the opportunity to put ourselves in the central space of our own marinading. You know, Aries, the ram, let me just say this. You know, Aries, the ram, ruled by Mars. Ram means right ascension of meridian, which means to fold in on self, to give ourselves the love, which is what Aries does. It just chooses self first, to put yourself first. That is how you receive it within the very core of your very own being. Right ascension of meridian obviously is an acronym for Ram, and that's very deep. Okay, let me just carry on. And so this transit through your 7th house is very powerful. As we said, Mars will be traveling with the Sun. It's about your recreation. It's about the recreation of your level of perception. It's about the radiance which you choose to feed into you. Aries, this is about you putting yourself into the driver's seat. Beep, beep. You're not waiting for no one because you put yourself in that position. And so this is very nice indeed. It's only just. It's the 7th house. You're weighing yourself up. And it's only light which can get in our eye, because you're really feeling into the weight which we carry and how you can put down that weight. How's it holding you up? Because Mars is falling behind. It's falling behind to the back of the pack, right? But that's a great position to be. It can only move forward from that position, right? And so we can recognize yourself, Aries, at this point, with Mars still actually not visible in the sky. And it's a great opportunity for us to reassemble self. With this being the 7th sign, with this being your polar opposition, where Mercury is going retrograde, we can find, especially with the new moon in conjunction with obviously the moon and the sun and Mercury retrograde, this is a very great opportunity to recreate how you communicate, how you perceive. It's a great opportunity for you to be within your own joy throughout the experience. Cut yourself free from old ways of being, and it's all just up here. Very nice indeed. Okay, and so next we got Taurus, where the moon is currently exalted in Taurus, and this is through fellow Venetian sign, actually the transit of Mercury through your 6th house in Libra. as of the 30th of August all the way through until the 5th of November. And Mercury will retrograde from the 27th of November all the way back to the 18th of October as well. And so here you go. You can recognize that Mercury rules your second house of self-worth, of trading and exchanging your truth, what you emit to self, your skills, your talents, as well as your fifth house of creativity. And so this is a great opportunity to harvest the details of your own creation, the joy of your own talent. And it's, as I say, your sixth house. It's a very powerful opportunity to see your hard work, which you anchor in your day-to-day experience, pay off. Because you identify with what you do. Six wands. It's about your hard work. You're deploying yourself into your rituals and routines and it paying off. And it's a transformation, Taurus. It's a massive transmutation because there was a massive block. There was massive doubt. There was a massive, I'm not worthy. You can't see me. I'm not recognized. I will never be able to do this. But boom, you've gone beyond it. Again and again and again and again. You've gone beyond it. And it's very powerful because it's this continual recognizing that you are worthy, which is going on. You are worthy of living your joy. You are worthy of doing the things that bring you joy. You don't have to go and work for someone else that puts you second. You put yourself first. And this is recognizing that your different things that you've practiced have become your craft. And that craft supports you. Your craftsmanship is worthy of who you are. It's the full manifestation of your emotional protocols. Oh, yes. 10 cups, 6 wands. For Mercury transit in your sixth house. I think it's going to be fantastic for you guys. It's going to be absolutely lovely. It's actually just happening in the bottom of your sky. All of those planets coming up as well through your seventh house, through the end of this autumn after this transit. It's very nice. So I feel that this is just the last bit of that undercarriage, the last bit of that inner work for you to bring yourself out to the recognition which you deserve. 6 wands, death card, and the 10 of cups for Taurus, transit Mercury retrograde in your sixth house. How much energy? How do you have so much energy? I do. This is a question from Maya, or like honestly, I do feel the dip, and I do know I've got a client as well, and it's in 15 minutes. So I kind of stagger myself. I was really relaxed before, you know, that's the energy. Thank you so much though. I'm grateful. You know, I'll be relaxing after. Don't you worry about it. Sweet Peach, I'm grateful for you. And SB, I appreciate you. You are dearly, dearly, dearly appreciated. Thank you each for your presence. I'm grateful for you, Harmonic Master. Your absolute beauty of a being. You are all wonderful. All of you have beautiful energy. And I'm grateful for each being in the live chat and everybody who's watching this in the recording. If somebody's put the timestamps up for each of these, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for making the effort. You are appreciated. And so next we got Gemini. Whoa, Gemini. This is your ruling planet Mercury going retrograde in fellow air sign. Yes, indeed. It's going to be going retrograde in your fifth house of creativity. Libra is your fifth house of creativity, enthusiasm and joy, playfulness and drama. So how can you open yourself up to seeing yourself is enabling yourself to live off your own creations, living from your own enthusiasms. This is very interesting because also Mercury does rule Virgo, which is your fourth house there, Gemini, as well as your first house. So it's the identification with your own enthusiasm, with your own creations, which you're working with. And the 2 cards, which we got come out for you, as well as what's bottom of the pack, I haven't seen that one yet, is 9 swords, again, changing our belief systems, changing our perceptions, changing how we communicate to ourselves. Because when we let go of old belief systems, it's a bit like a heavy weight, like a hot air balloon. They keep the sandbags on, but when they take the sandbags off, that hot air balloon goes up, up, up and away. But if we want to go up, up and away, but we're being stuck by heavy belief systems like, oh, I can't, I never will, My mum couldn't, my dad couldn't, my brothers and sisters couldn't, so why could I? But people who have got the courage to just love themselves and go after and pursue it anyway, like every person who's ever been successful has had so many knockbacks, so many no's. But it's not about the no's, it's not about the knockbacks, it's about the persistence, the continual going after it, and the recognition that you get from yourself by being persistent enough to continue. Because you recognize every successful sports star, every successful film star, you recognize every successful astrologer. They had many challenges and roadblocks, and they had to persistently continue when there's been starving artist syndrome, when there's been doubts. But yet when you continue, those people who made it to the tippity top, those people who we perceive as heroes, are just as delicate and vulnerable as you and I. Because we all have our doubts, and we all have the ability to be as successful as anybody who's ever achieved anything. You can. And so, for Gemini, this is about recognizing the transmutation of your value through your creativity, letting go of the belief systems that don't serve you anymore so that you can. Because you are able to enable yourself. Admit it to yourself. I mean, just admit it. You're good enough. I recognize it. I recognize you. I see you, Gemini. And so this is very powerful. We also got the Hierophant, bottom of the pack, knowing all the frequencies, every single one of them. It's really a spiritual card. It's really recognizing with this staff, which represents the spinal column, and it's also the V, the Roman V. It's the fifth major arcana. This is the transit of Mercury through your fifth house. It's recognizing that when you access your own inspiration, when you access your own pineal, when you recognize yourself as worthy, you can transform yourself from your own creations. This wand is the staff. It's our 33 columns of our spine. That's where the dimethyltryptamine spirit molecule bounces up and down. That's the holy secretion. That's the Christ within you. And so recognize yourself as worthy, because that's your creative juices. You can. 9 swords, 8 pentacles, and the Hierophant, the Gemini transit of Mercury, your ruling planet, through Libra, your fifth house. Very nice indeed. I'm grateful for you. Chantel, I appreciate you. You are amazing. Thank you for being you. And Brandon, you're a superstar. Thanks for being you also. Next, we got Cancer. Yes, Cancer. This is the transit of Mercury through your fourth house. Cardinal transit, cardinal sign Cancer. This is about you nurturing yourself in your view of who you are, in your family, in your nest, in your home space. And so take yourself dearly, oh so nearly, because this is really recognizing that you are worthy. And Mercury rules your 12th house, as well as your 3rd house. So it's about recognizing the languages of love that are beyond words, recognizing the smallest touches of gesture can really bring the warmest of connections, the sympathy, the devotion to love within your local environment for yourself, as well as those around you. Cancer, this sounds perfect for you guys. So Mercury does rule, as I say, your 12th house, as well as your 3rd house. And I dropped this card, you know, and I don't really mess around with saying, oh no, that's not the card, it's an omen. Oh man, it's an omen. The Emperor saying, you do it for you. Take care of yourself. Run yourself that bath. Why? Because you are worthy. And when you run yourself that bath, it really gives you the opportunity to recognize yourself. When you make yourself that meal, when you take that early night, when you allow yourself to have that lay-in, it gives you the opportunity to be the person who you're going to be. It gives you the strength, the courage, the joy in who you truly are worthy of being out in the world. You could suggest, you know, this is a really big deal for regards to you out in the world. But the only way for you to be brilliant out there is to take care of yourself within here. The 4th house is where this transit of Mercury going through Libra is taking place for you, Cancer. And so speak to yourself with love, with compassion. The 3 of Cups. Virgo is your 3rd house. Mercury rules Virgo. Speak to yourself within the detailed, loving language, which is beyond words. Give yourself that book. Give yourself that glorious meal. Give yourself that self-talk podcast, hot steamy bath, and softest of towels. Because that is really when you recognize yourself. And if you're recognizing yourself, by gosh, other people are going to recognize you too. Also, you'll be doing it for your family. I know that's your love language. Being able to do it for those people around you means that you're actually giving yourself love as well. So thank you for holding space for all that is going on for you in your nearest and dearest situation for yourself, as well as of those around you. It's a big activation. You might feel stressed if you don't give yourself this love. So take a load off, man. You're worthy. Worthy being a key feature of this broadcast because the moon in Taurus, but Libra is ruled by Venus. And it's about the value in our perception. It's not about the physical things like Taurus. It's about how we lay our eyes on something. And I think, goodness gracious, this is really worthy. This carries this water. This is great. I love it. It's a worthwhile investment. I'm not going buyer's remorse. It could be the same for a relationship or how we feel about ourselves, because we look at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, I'm going to wear this t-shirt today. It makes me feel nice. I'm going to go and have this meal today because it makes me feel great. You're worthy. Right. Leo, this is a transit for you guys. We're just still within a Leo lunar cycle. And this transit is through Libra. Mercury will eventually retrograde through your third house, which is about communication. Leo, you silver-tongued, beautiful being you. You know, this is about how Leo have Libra, charming Libra, in their third house. So Mercury is just going through your third house. Maybe you'll be altering the level of communication which you are using. Maybe you're shifting your level of perception. Maybe you think that other people don't think you're charming. Maybe you think that other people aren't open to you. Maybe you feel that people are close to you and they're actually not. But this is where we get to get clear on those knots. This is where we get to untangle all of those different things which are blind spots. Leo, this is again the opportunity to recreate your level of perception and recognize your value. You're going to have a new moon in your second house and your third house throughout this transit. So this is very powerful, and even your fourth. So it's about nurturing yourself and recognizing that these are old doubts. They're not even your doubts, but we carry them in, we drag them in. And it's our job to clear them. We chose the doubts so that we can clear them. We chose the plot and the storyline so that we can get out of this situation, which is actually hindering us, stunting our growth, because we're worthy. And those other people, they recognize you too. Okay, and so, Leo, we got the Knight of Pentacles. This is about the inner work and holding yourself accountable, because you are no less than anybody else, and nobody else is less than you. And so hold yourself within that integrity and hold other people too within that same love. We got the Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. This is about a fine line of communication. This is about a equality, a bridge of equality. The best thing that Leo can do is shine its light on somebody who hasn't been recognized. Because you know sometimes what it's like to feel unrecognized. Because you give. You grow every seed that ever has been. You're the sunshine. And so obviously we are grateful, and everybody appreciates the Leo energy. So as you share, other people can recognize you as you recognize yourself from the inside out. The Knight of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. For Leo, Mercury transit your third house in Libra. Oh yes. Well, finally, leastly, certainly not last due to any opinion, but only due to the order of the Zodiac. Virgo, this is the transit of your ruling planet, Mercury, through your second house of Libra. Oh, yes, indeed. So this is very powerful for you, because we're just having so much going on right now. We're going to be recognizing that actually we've got the next new moon is in your first house. There is a storm coming. They got the next new moon in your first house, so we're still clearing out. We're still clearing out the 12th house lunar cycle for Virgo, as well as Mercury making ingress into your second house for a very prolonged stay. So there's a focus on who you are and your level of perception of the value of who you are recognized to be through others and through you, recognizing yourself too, as well as those people which you choose to interact with. You are appreciated, Robin Evans. I'm grateful for you. And so Mercury rules your 10th house, Virgo, which is the marketplace. It's Gemini, as well as your first house. So this is really about your view on the world and how you feel the world views you, how you intellectualize of how the world views you, and how you intellectualize of the world too. You might have this opinion, you might have that opinion, and yet those are different, diverse separations. How can we come into a unified, dignified quality of love? This is about recognizing there's two different ways to show and to reveal that love for yourself in the world, as well as for those other people which you do business with, intermingle with, connect with. Oh, yes, you set the standard. You're the hermeticist. You are sealed from within. But yet you don't exactly have to spill your guts. You can be the living role model. You can be a leading example. You're not lead. You're golden, Virgo. How can you show that you are able to harvest and everybody else can too? Well, that's what you do. You're the great revealer, because you are able to show people without even dictating, without pointing the finger. You can show people because you are able to be the love. You're able to be the truth. And if people witness what you're doing, they pick it up. People witness what you are able to manifest, then they can learn from you. They can earn the opportunity to love themselves in the same way that you do. So recognize yourself as valuable, because the way that you do things, nobody else does. The hermit doesn't tell everybody. They show everybody. They reveal by leading from the inside out. What are we going to get? We got 8 wands. This is the metamorphosis of your own sense of identification. Yes, that new moon, which is coming up in just over a week, is in a trine to Uranus, which will be in the 9th house of Virgo. Massive change in the belief systems, and the frequency which you obtain is going to be shifting due to the recognition of your opportunity to connect with yourself and all of those people that are, beneficial for you. You're going to absolutely fall off your horse. Don't fall off your horse. You're incarnated into it. What is bottom? What's bottom? We don't mess around, do we? We do not mess around. This is the transformation as you recognize yourself as the truth. You always have been, you always will be. Just lead with it. From the inside out, you are the source. As you shine and gaze within yourself and be the alchemy of your own grandiose, spectacular being, you manifest the love which you choose to be seeing. You are worthy, Virgo. Thank you for choosing you. Thank you for recognizing yourself through and through. 8 wands and the Virgo card, the Hermit. Spectacular. We did talk about the Hermit for a good few minutes, if you were wondering. I described it. And so there you go. Thank you. Boom. I'm grateful for each and every single one of you. You are certainly appreciated. Virgo, this is the Hermit and the 8 of Wands for the transit of Mercury, your ruling planet, through Libra, your 2nd house. I'm grateful for you. I've got to pop off now. I've got a consultation with a magnificent being. If you would like a magnificent consultation with me, you're worthy. I'm here to serve you. All the information that you need is in the description box below, and I'm here to connect. I actually have some availability this week. We can arrange a mutually beneficial time to connect before this next new moon. I'm here to serve you, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you for watching. Thank you for holding yourself dearly. Oh, so nearly. You are the love which you seek. Thank you for choosing you and receiving that love. You are deeply and dearly appreciated. Have a fantastic selection of moments, intending that actually this extended Mercury in Libra transit gives you the opportunity to empower yourself, to get rid of any limitations, to get rid of any devaluations, and recognize yourself as the being that is able, that can, and that shall be continuing to live their best life. You are worthy of no less, and I'm grateful for you. Have a fantastic selection of moments. I'll catch you on the flip side. Cheerio for now.